Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Unscripted and Unchained RPG Review. I am Castlekeeper Bloodworth, and as you can see by the graphics, today's video I am going to be talking a little bit about my campaign prep. And in particular, I am going to be talking about Castles and Crusades and the recent reprinting of Castle Zagyg, and it's the Yggsburgh campaign setting by Gary Gygax. And I've been covering this on my channel for the last 2 weeks or so, going through section by section, and I will continue to do so. But you're probably also aware, if you've been following my channel, that my AD&D First Edition campaign came to a close last Tuesday night, and it was a very nice wrap up. There is still something left for those group of players and their characters to go through in the future, but we're placing it on a hiatus right now as I start to prepare for our next multi-month, multi-year campaign, switching over to Castles and Crusades. And although I had run a very short-lived campaign with them using Castles and Crusades, we went about 3 weeks or so with it. That was before I knew this was coming out, and so once I actually got Castle Zagyg Yggsburgh campaign setting in my hand, I decided, you know what, I am going to go all in on this, and basically shift my current players over to this, which they're all on board for doing so. So all 7 or 8 of them are coming on over into into the new campaign. Some of them just brought their same characters over, but reset them down to level 1. And I also have 3 new players to the group, bringing up the total number up to 11, which was not my expectation originally. I was hoping to have fewer than 10, but I mean, I'm a sucker for new players, and I'm someone who's very very hard for me to tell a player no, you can come in, but we have to work out and see how everything is going to roll going forward with so many characters and so many players in the group. But that's part of my prep time. And so I'm glad that I have 3 weeks to start working through this. So I'm going to switch views in a second, but looking at the title here, so it's Yggsburgh, None Can Deny Us Independence campaign. Now that's a placeholder name for the campaign. I will wait to see what actually develops from the player characters' interaction with the world, and it certainly may change. But I'm going to show you what I have set up so far, and what I have been using as my resources preparing for this campaign. So here we go. Now, the first resource, which really inspired everything else, is this absolutely beautiful book from Troll Lord Games, and it was recently freed up from the Gygax estate, and based on how well these sell on Kickstarter or direct through Troll Lord Games, will allow for the Gygax estate to reconsider holding back anything, and hopefully there's a nice steady flow of materials, both previously printed or published, and my hope is that there's probably plenty of unpublished Gary Gygax work out there that held by his estate, and I'm hoping to see that also gets released. Now, I've invited Stephen Chenault to come on the channel and talk about it, and he says absolutely. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the current Kickstarter that they have in the next video, because I'm doing a Kickstarter video just talking about the Kickstarters that I've backed in the recent weeks. So wait for that to drop later on this evening. I'll probably give this upload a little time to breathe, and then that one will launch sometime this evening, so you can check that out as well. So I'm starting off with this here, and really impressed with it so far. There's incredible world building in this, and that's something that I had mentioned in a previous video. Gary Gygax is probably one of the best world builders in the hobby, and we really did lose that kind of creativity when he passed. And so unfortunately we don't have that going forward, but through Troll Games and Luke Gygax and the Gygax estate kind of pushing out some of these products again, I'm hoping that a whole new generation of players will be introduced to to Gary Gygax's world building, perhaps for the first time. So really excited about that. So that's where I started off with. Now, you cannot have a Castles and Crusades campaign or even a game session without the Player's Handbook. And this is the current Player's Handbook that we've been using. You can tell that this is the homage covers going back to first edition AD&D. So each of these covers are an homage to the original AD&D covers. So, really, really useful tome. All you need is this here tome. All you need is this book here to actually run a game, along with the Monsters and Treasures book, which I'll show you. But so I have, each of my players have access to everything that is in this book here. Now, my players also have access to the Adventurer's Backpack, and there are some specialty classes in here. If you go to my playlist on the channel, you're going to see some 60 Castles and Crusades videos on my channel. My channel is so dedicated to Castles and Crusades that I really hope that this is one of the channels that you consider to be your go-to place for everything Castles and Crusades, other than their own channel, Troll Lord Games and everything. But I think I actually have more videos than they do on Castles and Crusades, but certainly go to them as well. But my players will have access to this. They have access to this for the classes. And although right now, because I'm using the setting and using some of the setting mechanics for starting money and status and such, as of now, I don't think any of them can afford a backpack. But that'll be something that will be the kind of the carrot that they're going for in some of their early adventuring is to, I really like the way it's developed so far, because I think the most that any of the characters started off with, as far as starting gold is concerned, is 70 gold pieces. Everybody else was like 15 or 10, and virtually not even a sufficient amount yet to actually buy a backpack, let alone swords, better armor, and such. So they really are starting as as fledgling adventurers, and some of them are actually going to have a social status that is either at criminal or very near criminal, just from bad rolls on their part. So like the assassin certainly is on the verge of being an outright criminal right from the start. So social status 0, and then through his leveling, he will eventually break out of that. But he's only starting with like 10 gold pieces, a leather armor, or even padded armor, actually padded armor, and one non-sword weapon. So he'll probably go with a dagger or a long knife or something along those lines. I'm also including gods and legends. So I wanted to keep a very trimmed down listing of the gods that they will have available, particularly if there's a cleric in the group or a paladin in the group. And so, even though there are many, many books behind me that have the various types of deities, much, much more detail, this has the pantheons of Erd, then dwarves, elves, halflings, gnomes, humanoids, all the way through all of the other non-human deities, and then it has the deities of the Celts, the Greeks, the Egyptians, Germanic tribes, Norsemen, and Slavic. Now, I have been looking at Yggsburgh and trying to figure out, well, which pantheon best fits within there. And I've been having some conversations with people on the Facebook group for Castles and Crusades, and some have said just use the Greyhawk since Yggsburgh is supposed to be Greyhawk. But I just wrapped up a 2+ year campaign in Greyhawk, and I'm looking to have a clean separation from that. So I'm going to say that the focus, since it's supposed to be like a late Middle Ages England setting, I'm going to focus on it being primarily Celtic and Germanic mix, and then Norse would still be considered an outsider. So if there is a cleric in the group that is of one of the Norse deities, then he or she is going to be an outsider. Although I think our current cleric is a dwarven female, played by Leah, our only female player as of now. So that's where I'm going with the gods and legends. So now we get to the resources for me, the resources that I have at my disposal as the castle keeper. So primarily I'm going to be using the setting book, but also there is Monsters and Treasures, and as you can see, it's the homage cover to the first edition AD&D cover here. So this is the current Monsters and Treasures that I'm using. And then, of course, the Castle Keeper's Guide, which I might as well just grab. I don't refer to this very often. Get another homage cover. Because you really don't need it as much, especially if you're a fairly experienced game master, which I certainly consider myself to be one. So I only go to this when I'm really kind of unsure on something, or I just want to include something that I haven't really dealt with very much. There's a lot of Castle Keeper materials in this book to really carry it, and then along with the Monsters and Treasures and the other books and everything, I think that I have everything that I really need to make a well-developed Castles and Crusades set in Yggsburgh campaign to go forward. I'm also going to be using the Castles and Crusades shield here, so it has just useful information. I really didn't use this very much in the other shorter campaign that I was doing, but since this game system is so streamlined, really I intend to use like the meals and lodging and some of the combat maneuvers and combat situational maneuvers and such in much more detail than I did before. So I'm looking to utilize this to a little bit more of an extent than I did previously. So there we have all of my prep so far as the as far as the books are concerned. So now I'm going to switch over really quick to my my VTT. So this is going to be run on Roll20 right now until Foundry is much more integrated with the game system. So let's shift over here. And so here we have it. And always good to have this nice intro. So I have disabled looking for players because I picked up so many players. I'm still waiting on 4 more of my players to finish logging in so we can start updating it. And our next game session, our very first game session, is going to be on December 12th at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. So basically a little blurb here, and I'm going to jump in. I'm going to launch into the game. So Roll20 recently changed their formatting, and so or their integration. So it's a little bit more integrated than previously and integrated differently. I don't like folders, so that's a little critique here. But I like I like to start off every campaign with a cover sheet, and I think this is important. A lot of times you could drop the player characters down here too. This is actually on the map layer, and just got to stretch this out a little bit to better cover the field. So, so yeah, I start every campaign with a title page, which I think is very important, and it's a good starting off point and ending point for you to do as a game master, is to open up every session here and close every session here. That way, if you're tweaking things throughout the week in between sessions, you're not going to mistakenly open it up to where the players will see something that you don't want them to see just yet. So here my players were doing their stat checks and just basically checking everything out. Some of them were rolling stats and such. So and I see a couple of my players, they like never log off, so they're always logged into the game. So that's always pretty funny. So then I have my regional map of Yggsburgh, and this lighter stage, like you're seeing it as the players will, actually as the game master will see it. When I shift this view over, all the players are going to be able to see is roughly this square here. So just in and around this region, everything else will be blacked out. So I'm going to take them off of this page, and then here is the city map itself, and they're going to be beginning here. So I like to put the key maps, the regional map and particular city map that they happen to be in place here. Then next is my token page. So here is where I'm putting all of the, let's see if I scroll way out and find them. So here is where I'm going to be putting my tokens. So this is just going to be where I put all of the Castle Keeper tokens. I could start dropping down creatures, monsters as they encounter them. I mean, I can go into my selection here, and I can go to where I started. Where are my regular monsters here? So here, if I want to throw some goblins in, so here's a warg rider, and here's an orc assassin. I have other tokens. So here are some standard tokens, right? So here we have a zombie humanoid, zombie human, a wyvern, a warg, a wolf, a werewolf, and such. These were all the creatures that my players encountered in my AD&D campaign, and so many of these are going to cross over anyway, so I don't have to recreate anything They will carry over into here. And then finally, I have what I call the PC battle grid, right? So here is where we conduct all of our battles, right? I will open up this token here on the token layer, and we can already see some of the player characters are already on here. And I set up them in their marching order, and I will do, if they happen to be fighting on a very constrained map, then I will drop in the walls and the other features and such that are in the way, and then we do everything. We conduct everything on this white page with Discord as a backup for our chatting and our and then sometimes we drop in like images and such so that they can see exactly what they're looking at. Like I normally will drop an image here. Let's say they're going to be fighting this basilisk here. And let's say I want to make him a large one, right? I just stretch him out, or just so that they can see him. And I can say, this is a giant lizard that you are now fighting. And then we carry out the combat here on this screen. So, and I can just delete that. And so that's where we left off. We're just still doing like a session zero, pretty much having everyone come in, drop their characters in the page, take over a character sheet, which I have them all laid out. And like I said, I'm still waiting on 5 more players actually to come in and finish up their characters. So we will have a total of 11 players, 11 characters in this campaign. Now, like I said, I'm gonna have to work with that, and I already left them a message in Discord to say, hey, you know what? There's going to be some instances where, if you miss, fine. We're just going to go with whomever actually shows up. And my players are fairly consistent with that. I typically don't have less than 7 for most days. And now with the new 3 players, I'm assuming that we're going to be running with, anywhere from 9 to 11 almost every single session. And I will have to work the adventuring and such along those lines. I haven't decided how much of a West Marches type of game style we're going to go, where they're just going out into the wilderness and seeing what they encounter as they go along with that, or if we're going to have particular adventure like tasks or whatever, that they pick up from, whether it be a town ledger on a post saying goblin bandits wanted, 5 copper pieces for every goblin scalp you turn in, and this is roughly the region where they've been active. And then the players decide that, hey, we're going to take our characters and go and take care of that particular thing. So like a bounty board, basically. And that's if they want some like kind of really low risk or, potentially low investment, I should say, because it might be risky. This is Castles and Crusades. It's not Dungeons and Dragons. So the game system itself is a little bit more risky than even AD&D First Edition. So, but low investment, as far as this is something that we can probably take care of in one game session. And that's going to be, I think, my biggest challenge is to create something for them to do where they have multiple options, and at the same time that they will be pretty much contained within a 3 to 3.5 hour long session. We're starting at 8 p.m., so I'd really like to wrap these things up by 11. But you know, if I see that they're starting to go longer and longer because there's so many players, then I might even split the sessions throughout the week, or I might start a little bit earlier, and then we could run closer to a 4 hour session. So we'll see. We got to play it by ear. But that's pretty much all of the prep that I'm doing. I mean, I could. Let's see. I haven't done this yet. So maybe what I'll do is I'll see if I can do this. Let's see. And now I'm going to come here, come here. All right. Nope, that's not it. Let's see. There we go. So so now I'm showing you my Discord. All right. So in Discord, so might as well boost it, right? So Unscripted and Unchained RPG is my Discord. And there's always a link in the Discord, you know, down at the bottom of every video. And so you can always join in. I see I have, so here's the games that I'm running. I have my Castles and Crusades. And so this is my general chat for Castles and Crusades. And now we're making the shift over to this particular campaign. Then this particular campaign's resources, which I created a player's guide to Castle Zagyg. And so these are just some of the, you know, very specific components coming out of the PDF of, you know, of the new book. And then I tell people, like, there are some other resources related to this setting that are out there. These were older. I'm guessing that some of these will be republished as they are released. And then some other things, like I shared some listings of the deities that they can choose from. And here's the link for the tabletop, which is now closed. Then I have a discussion tab, very, very specifically for the players to discuss this particular setting. I am going to create a journal. As you can see, I did a journal for my AD&D campaign, and this goes all the way back to 2/21/2022. So this is when it really, you know, began. It actually began earlier than that, but we didn't start the journal until a little bit later. We actually started this campaign back in like August. And then we have voice chats. I have voice chats here. I see I have a private message from Vince. Vince was one of my early players in the AD&D campaign. So I will check once offline. I'll check to see what he's asking about. Hopefully he's going to look to come into the game. That'll bring me up to 12 players. Yeah, hopefully his schedule has freed up and he's able to come, or he's just going to join us in next Tuesday night's live stream, where I'm doing a campaign wrap-up party for all of my players who used to be in that particular campaign, and those that have finished up that campaign. You're all welcome to join in that, and I really encourage all of you to definitely check out that live stream next Tuesday night, December 5th at 8 p.m. Many of my players will be there, so you'll get a chance to hear from them what their impressions of the campaign was, what their favorite moments are or were, and you know, and then maybe their expectations and their hopes for our upcoming new campaign that will launch the following week. So really looking forward to doing that as well. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for joining. Remember, if you haven't subscribed yet, please consider subscribing. and certainly like the video if you liked it. Leave your questions and comments in there. Really looking forward to hearing your comments. A lot of times I take comments from on the channel on any particular video, and that really generates ideas for either live streams or other videos to go forward. A lot of times people come in and say, hey, take a look at this game, or I have this game coming out on the Kickstarter. Would you like to take a look at it and possibly review it? I tend to invite those individuals to actually come on and let them do their pitch for it on a live stream, so that those always tend to work very, very well. And like I said, later on I'm going to do actually a follow-up video for all the Kickstarters that I have backed in the recent weeks, and those will be the last ones that I back for the next until next year. And so until January at least, I am not touching any more Kickstarters, and just going to hopefully get some that are due. Hopefully they come before Christmas, and then take probably about a month off from backing anything on Kickstarter, and getting ready for the convention season, which begins early January. So thanks everybody. Sorry about the garage sound if you're hearing that. Thanks everybody for stopping in. Enjoy the rest of your week. I look forward to seeing you on a gaming screen sometime soon, and maybe at a convention coming up very soon as well. So you all have a great day. Take care.